and welcome to episode 5 of the Shanty Knits podcast. I am your host, Chantal. I can be found on Ravelry as Shanty Knits and on Instagram as Shanty_D. Today I have for you 2 FOs, 3 whips, and some stash acquisitions, as well as a audible recommendation at the end. So, without further ado, I will begin with my first finished object. This is the Dancing with Leaves, Dancing with Leaves Poncho. It is by, and I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your name, the La Tricot Designs. She is a designer on Ravelry. She does mostly shawls and ponchos. I think there may be a sock. I might be mixing that up. But mostly shawl and poncho type designs. This is a test knit. I'm not a big poncho knitter, but I did like the lace pattern, which is one of the reasons I decided to test knit for it. I think I heard it was one of the Instagram posts that mentioned her, and I looked, and she just happened to have a test knit at the same time I found her. Coincidence, fate, however you want to call it. But I applied for this test knit, got it. So it's the Dancing with Leaves Shawl. Both, you can't see, but both of these yarns, I'll leave it here actually because I'm going to talk about the rib. We'll leave it here. So both of these yarns are hand dyed by me. It is a 70-20, 75-25 merino wool silk blend. This is knit flat and then seamed up the back. The first part, the ribbing, is where all your increases take place, and then for the rest of it, you're just knitting the same number of stitches each time back and forth. The lace pattern is this right here is the lace repeat. This right here is the lace repeat. The lace repeat is interrupted, sectioned by this reverse stockinette panel right here. You do have a edging at the bottom. The edging is, so each of these, there is some seaming, so each of these you knit, come to the decrease, cut off the yarn, and then attach it for the next one. I made mine pointy, and hers, they're more rounded, so depending on how blockable your wool is, you can do either pointy or rounded edging on those. The seaming at the back, don't judge. I'm not super great at mattress stitch, but I think I did pretty well for the mattress stitch. And then I think because it's going to be a gift, I'll probably reblock it before I send it out. But I think I'll block this more flat next time before I gift it. But I seamed it with this yarn, and that's the contrast color. In her original design, she has it faded with, I think, 3 or 4 colors. I'm not, like I mentioned, I'm not a big poncho knitter, so I knew I was going to be gifting it, and I didn't want to make it, like, incredibly loud, but I did want to kind of follow what she was going for in the color palette. Is that the right word? Color palette? We'll go with that. In her color palette, so I did do 2 contrasting colors. This is leftover yarn from, I think it's called the Clocata. It's a sweater by Audrey of the Yarn Flakes. I'll add in a couple pictures of that, as well as a couple pictures of the finished product on me here. And so you can kind of see how it lays in the project photos. I'm not a poncho person just because I talk with my hands. If you haven't noticed, I talk with my hands. So me having something that restricts my hand flow, it never works out. I end up spilling something because I'm going like this, trying to get it off my hands, or it never works out. So I'm not a huge poncho knitter. I'll wear a shawl, but Poncho's probably not going to work out. Well, it hasn't worked out for me in the past, and I'm not going to try it again. Person who learns from their mistakes, definition of insanity, is doing the same thing and thinking you're going to get a different result. And I'm not, because I'm not going to stop talking with my hands, and I'm not going to stop spilling stuff. So those two powers combined, not going to work out for me. But this was back to the shawl. This was a very good test knit. In the increase part, you have stitch counts, so it's really easy to follow. After each row of increases, you have this stitch count to tell you and make sure that you did the increasing right. And it's really not that hard to gauge where you did something wrong, because there are the sections of the stockinette and then the sections of the reverse stockinette, so it's super easy to see, like, oh, my mistake is here, because you'll have that stitch that kind of doesn't lay well with the pattern. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. Oh, there is a 15% discount code. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'll put it down below and for you if you wanted to snag this pattern. She does have instructions in there if you want to make it as short or as long as you want. She'll tell you in the pattern where to end the lace for it to look the best. So you can make if you're a longer poncho person, you can make it longer. If you want like I think it's called a caplet type design, you can do that as well. This increase section is probably about 4.5, 5 inches. So just keep that in mind. If you wanted a caplet, you'll probably only get like a repeat and a half of the lace before having to start the edging. And that is it for my Dancing with Leaves shawl. Again, I'll put that discount code in the bottom if this is something you want to knit. Again, the pattern is written to kind of fade into different colors. So also, the pattern is meant to be held a fingering with, I want to say it's mohair or Syri alpaca. One of the fuzzes. It's meant to be held double, so it kind of mutes the lace down. The only the only mohair that I had was that one from I forget the name of the shawl now, but it was the dark blue sapphire color from the shawl last episode. That's the only mohair I have, and it's only 15 grams. And when we started to test knit this was like when quarantine first started, so I didn't even want to try to chance getting something and being able to finish knitting in time and rush through that. So I asked her if I could do just a regular yarn. She said it was fine, so I did it with the regular yarn. So definitely check out her project page if you're interested in how it looks with the mohair or Syri, whichever one she uses. And this is mine, just knit with regular silk-based yarn. It's still kind of flowy, but not fuzzy. Yeah, that's it for that one, I think. Yeah, we'll go with yeah. We're going to pause for a second, and I'm going to do a quick wardrobe change for my second finished object. And, yeah, 2 seconds. Okay, we're back. So this is my second finished object. It is called the Junii Cardigan. It is by Audrey of the Yarn Flakes podcast. It is a cardigan that has garter raglan shaping. It's a garter ridge shaping detail at the front and back. It's knit in one piece flat back and forth, and it does have short rows to raise up the back a little bit. I only made, I think, 2 modifications to this in total. I did, I love a textured sleeve. So I continued the garter ridge paneling that comes straight down from the raglan down onto the sleeve. Hope you can see that. But I did it on the sleeve and continued it on both edges, so it has that garter ridge detailed on the bottom of the sleeve. This is written into the pattern, so you continue that garter detail down the pattern as it is written. That's the one on the sleeve is the only modification that I made on it. And then on both the sleeve, and at the end of this garter detail, you have a beautiful lace pattern. Very simple. It has, I think they're called bell sleeves or kimono type sleeves. So when you pick up for the sleeves, I think you add a couple stitches and then you decrease those stitches on the next round, but you don't continue to decrease. It's just one straight sleeve for as long as you want to knit, and then you'll do the lace modification. I think she gives you exactly how wide the lace detail is, so you can factor that into the sleeve length that you want. Mine is not quite half sleeve, but almost half sleeve. Like, it comes like right here in the middle of my elbow, but like with movement it comes up a little bit higher than that. So bell sleeve, and then I continue that garter detail, garter ridge raglan detail on the sleeve. The front is not meant to close all the way, so you don't do like a full neckband, because the pattern as written is not meant to be like a full wrap type cardigan. It's just supposed to kind of sit on you. So when you pick up for the button band, it is, I think it's 5 garter rows, 5 garter ridges, and then you bind off. I did I-cord binding off, which you can't really see, but in real life, it is a wonderful design. Garter or I-cord bind off is not for the faint of heart, but it does leave a wonderful finished edge, in my opinion. There are some stretchy bind offs that you can use. I think the one she links in the pattern is very pink knits stretchy bind off, and it doesn't do that like puckering that I think is called Junie's stretchy bind off or something like that. It doesn't leave like that weird ripple type thing, and it is a bind off that I will use if I'm not. That is the default bind off that I will use if I'm not using an I-cord bind off. When I do use an I-cord bind off, I will go a couple needle sizes above what the cardigan or sweater is knit in, just so it's not too tight. I do a tighter type of I-cord bind off. I usually don't knit tight, but if I do an I-cord bind off, it comes out tight if I use the same needle size. So I'll go a couple sizes up. So this is a very size inclusive pattern. It goes up to 62 and a quarter. Let's check. So yeah, 62 and a quarter inches or 158 centimeters for the bust. It is designed to have, I think, 2 or 3 inches of ease, but if you wanted to stretch that out a little bit, like if you're 64-inch bust, you could probably just get away with adding a couple of ridges to this button band right here, just because it is not meant to close, so you won't have to like make sure it wraps around you fully. So you probably could get a couple inches off of that on either end. I think that's it for this, but let me check my notes. Oh, you might want to know about my yarn. Yeah, let me tell you about that. So this is a 50/50 marine baby yak silk blend, and it used 250 grams total, which was about 1,000 meters. So it is a very nice stash busting. If you have the size I knit, I think I knit the size 5 or 6. So if you have 2 to 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn, you'll probably get a nice cardigan out of this. And depending on if you want to make longer sleeves or shorter sleeves, probably use a little bit less or a little bit more than the 2 skeins that I used. Yeah, that's it. This one is released May 31st, so it should be coming out, what's today? The 21st? So in about 12, 13 days, it should be out and released. Once it is out, I'll try to remember to come back and link the pattern, because she does do discount codes when patterns are first released. I think for the first like 2 or 3 days, she'll do like a 10 or 15% discount. So if I remember, I will definitely link that for you down below. But if you follow Audrey on Instagram, she we'll put the discount code on there as well and let you know that the pattern is released. So you don't have to rely on me for the pattern release date. But definitely a nice stash busting pattern. Didn't take a lot of yarn. Didn't take a lot of time. I like stitch markers, so when you get to the parts where you have to do a couple of texture or lace or anything like that, just put stitch markers in and it can still be TV knitting. Just kind of make a mental note when you come to that stitch marker, you're supposed to be doing something. Really easy for that one. I like these brooches, I guess they're called, maybe. I don't know. These type brooches. So this pattern was perfect. When she said it didn't close all the way, I was like, oh, I got brooch fashion for days. So this is probably one of the ones that I'm going to wear with it when I first get to wear it. I don't have project photos of this one yet. I'm planning on doing it on Sunday, and hopefully this will be up before then, so I won't be able to insert them into it, but I will link my pattern page, so once I do get the project photos up, once they're up on my pattern page, when you click on it, they'll be there for you to view. So I don't have any to insert, but I'll give it a full spin just so you can see it here. The lace panel, sleeve, textured sleeve, and then the back is just, oh. How low can you go? Sorry about that. I'm still making rookie moves. It's all right. She apparently wants to drop it low on you guys. So the short rows back here raises it up just slightly. I can't even tell where I did the short rows in here, but they are there. So the yarn came out really nice with this one. And full turn. That textured sleeve on the other side. And then the front. I really do like the garter stitch detail that she has right here and how she continued it down the side. I think it adds just an air of interest to it. I really enjoy the pattern, but I love everything that Audrey does. If you can't tell, I like to test knit for her, so I really do like her patterns. I think they're really well written. They are relatively size inclusive on both ends of the spectrum. I didn't write what the smallest size was, and I don't have the pattern here, so I can't tell you, but it is size inclusive on both ends of the spectrum, so there's that to look forward to as well. For that, I think that is everything. Let me just check my notes to make sure. I've realized that I glance at my notes, but I don't read my notes, so when I'm going back and editing, I forgot like a whole chunk of what to say. And that's not cool, because you want to know. And then I get questions about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I didn't say that. I wrote it down, but I didn't say it. So I'm trying to be better and actually reading what my notes say and telling you. Because that's the whole point, right? So, that's the Junii Cardigan May 31st release date. Should be available to you as a public, or May 31st due date. Should be available to you in the public shortly after that. She usually is like 2 or 3 day turnaround just to make sure everyone has added the project pages and people can go and reference those when the pattern is released. So we'll do my final wardrobe change for this and go into whips as well. So, 2 seconds and we will be back. So, last wardrobe change, but before we get into whips, I want to show you my new mug my husband got me. It is Police Box, the TARDIS. It's a square mug, Amazon. I'll link the page in the description box. I don't remember exactly who the seller is. Just so you know, it is hand wash only and do not microwave. So if you microwave your tea or coffee, it's probably not the mug for you, but I have a tea warmer, so I'm good. It also has a lid, so the top of the TARDIS as well. So it has a lid on it. I don't have the lid on it now because I'm using my tea warmer, and it would keep it a little bit too warm. This is perfect drinking temperature as it is now. My tea today, let me get one more sip actually, is delicious. It is this tea. It's by Junii, and it's called the Turmeric Amber Sun. It is this brand of tea, Junii. I will link their website below as well. But this tea, most of their teas are fair trade and organic. So if you are looking to support pretty good tea companies, this one gives a fair price to the tea pickers and their families and the whole line of tea processing, so that they're actually getting paid for the work that they're doing, and it's not like pennies on the dollar. This is fair trade certified organic turmeric, organic, there's that word again, the rubos, however you want to say it. We can argue about it all day, but I'm going to say it how I'm going to say it. Organic honeybush, organic cardamom, fair trade certified organic cinnamon, and organic vanilla bean. It is a nice warming tea. I am a fan of turmeric. So if you don't like turmeric, you probably won't like this, because you can taste the earthiness of the turmeric, but the cinnamon and the vanilla give it kind of a sweetness without, I drink it plain. I don't add like honey or sugar to it. So it is a nice tea for me to drink just straight. There was something else I wanted to say about this tea, and I didn't write it down. Of course I didn't. Oh, goodness, what was it? Oh, this company has a lot of herbal tea blends. So if you like herbal tea blends that aren't too sweet or have a lot of artificial flavoring in it, this is a good company. I'll link their website below so you can check out some of their teas. They do have like regular green and black tea. I have tried their, I think it's called Emperor's Pua tea. That one's pretty good. I have just tried some of their, I think it's called like the Active line. So they have like Focus and Relax and a couple of other herbal blends in that line. And then your basic green tea. They make a really good gunpowder green tea. I suggested their gunpowder green tea to my CEO, and it is now the only green tea that he drinks. So it's good for a CEO. It could be good for you as well. I'm very proud of that fact, because we used to share tea all the time, and I knew that he liked gunpowder green, but he used to drink, like, no offense, like these garbage tea brands, and I would walk into his office and I'd be like, what are you drinking, Todd? Like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's this, and he would just buy a tea and not really care as long as it was a green tea. And so I gave him this tea one time, and he's like, I threw away the package, but could you get me the name of that tea? And now it's the only thing he orders. He actually orders like the big, it comes in like, I think it's like a 500 bag tea box thing. And he orders that for the office, so anybody can enjoy the tea recommendation I made. Just tooting my own horn there. But anyway, back to the knitting. Whips. Works in progress. So, this is the Lonicera top, and it is by Hannah of the Tales of Yarnia. It has 3 lace panels. You have a right front lace, a left front lace, and a back lace panel. That was hard to get in my mind and say the words, but I got it. This front panel is really, really nice detail. And then, of course, I am making a cardigan version. So here is my steek. And I'm actually going to raise her up a little bit because she dropped it low for you the last time, and I didn't raise her quite back up to where she was. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? There we go. So you still can't see. But right here is my steek panel. I cast on my number of stitches for the ribbing, and then I just knit that flat back and forth just so I don't get a twist. I like to do that with anything that, especially bottom up or anything that has a large number of stitches that I'm going to then cast on or connect in the round, just so you don't get a twist, because casting on 200 or 300 stitches and realizing you have a twist is not fun. So if it's like ribbing at the bottom, I will knit that rib flat and then join it in the round, and when I join it in the round, that is when I add the steek stitches. So this is a little bit wider steek than I usually do, just because it is a slippery type yarn. Here we go with the yarn again. I didn't tell you what yarn it was. I just expected you to know. This is a 70-20-10 merino silk cashmere yarn. So it is a slippery type yarn, and so I want to do 2 machine steek reinforcements on either side of it, on either side of the steek, just to give it an extra security factor for me. For the steek part, or the button band collar, I know I should do the 1x1 ribbing that's on the bottom, and that will be on the sleeve cuff as well. I'm not going to be a huge fan of it, but I'm going to do it because I don't think the garter stitch would do justice to the overall lace panels and the delicateness of the cardigan, and stockinette just rolls a little bit, and I don't want to deal with that and blocking and all that other jazz. So I'm going to have to do the 1x1 rib on the button band and collar. Not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to do it because it's going to look the best. Did I bring it in? I did not. For the, I don't know, you can't see it. I'll show it to you when it's done. But I'm using an alternating color for the button band and collar. It's a Hue Loco Yarn of the Month color. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks with it and tying the cardigan together, because I'm also going to do it on the hem edge stitch on the sleeve, just like I did it on the bottom hem for the cardigan. So I think it'll tie the yarn together and the cardigan together very well. I don't think you can see it, but these lighter bits, if they look white to you, they're actually yellow. And I love the way that it is turning out and it looks in real life. It has a lot of depth to the color, and I wasn't expecting that. So I'm really a fan of it. I love the way the yarn came out. This is, did I mention it had a textured side as well? But this is the left lace panel, I think. And seed stitch. It's not blocked, so I'm having to kind of stretch it out so you can see that. But this is a seed stitch side. And I'm thinking of doing a seed stitch, because you know I love a textured sleeve, a seed stitch panel up the arm as well. The only thing is, this is a wider seed stitch panel than like I'm used to, or a wider textured panel than I'm used to, so I'm not sure if it's going to go wrap around the arm too far, because then that would just look funny, like I forgot to do a pattern on half of the sleeve. So I'm going to cast on the sleeves, see how it looks, knit it for a little while, and if I'm not really liking it, then I'll just rip back and start again. But I'm hoping it works out, because I love textured sleeve. I love lifting up your arm, and there's just an air of detail there that maybe you'll only notice there, but I like it. The back panel, and again, this isn't blocked, but I think it will come out really nice once it is blocked. That's the back panel lace, and it's just down the center back of it. And I cannot wait. This has a 10 June due date, so I have roughly 30 days, 29 days to finish up sleeves, which I am more than confident I can do, because they are just basic stockinette sleeves. They don't have any of the design or texture. Well, I'm going to add the texture, but they don't, in the pattern now it's written, it doesn't have anything extra on the sleeve, so you'll be able to just knit stockinette sleeves down and then 1x1 rib on the cuff. Let me check my notes and make sure I told you everything, because I didn't. This has both written and charted instructions for the lace. Once it's knit bottom up, so once you split for the sleeves, the lace is then knit flat, so it has both the in the round and flat instructions written out for you, and then charted. Obviously, instead of reading it from one side, you would read back and forth. So it has both written and charted instructions, and then it does have, just like with the Dances with Leaves Shawl, it has instructions in the pattern that lets you know where to stop where to stop the pattern if you want the best look, so you can modify it to make it as long and as short as you want. This one I'm making a little bit longer than in the pattern. The pattern sits mid-hip, so it's not too bad, but for cardigans, I like to make them a little bit longer than you would for like a sweater. So I made it, I think, 2 or 3 inches longer than what the pattern states, and then I've just followed the instructions as written for the sleeves. And then you do 3 needle bind off at the top. Can't see that, but it's 3 needle bind off at the top, and then you'll pick up for the sleeves around this edge. So all I have left to do on this is the sleeves. So once the sleeves are done and I take project photos, hopefully that'll be done by the next time I podcast, and I can insert project photos and whatnot for you. I will turn her around because I really like this back lace pattern. My other 2 whips are not near finish where I need to use my model here, but the next one is another test knit for Hannah, and it is called the Shoreline Tee. This one I am also making a little bit longer because how it is on the pattern, and I'm not sure if it's just for her body type, but how I think it's in the pattern and the length in the instructions, it's supposed to sit high hip. So when it sits high hip, like when you go to reach for something, or if you talk with your hands extremely, like use it all the time, you're always going to have that fluctuation in your, showing your midriff. That's not really something that I prefer. So I am making this one longer as well. But this one has a lace pattern on the bottom. We'll actually do it like this. A lace pattern on the bottom. And this is 100% pull work, so it's not going to show the lace at all until I block it. But the stitch definition is great on it. So once I do block it, it's going to look really, really nice. This pull work is hand dyed by me. It's just a plain turmeric dye, and then it has some orange speckles in it. So I kind of did the reverse of that on this. I just realized that. Interesting. Subconsciously I did this, because I dyed this like a month and a half ago, and this I dyed like last year. Interesting. Subconsciously, I like those colors. And then the top body part is in a speckled yarn. I'm alternating skeins. And this is Medusa Yarns in her Calypso colorway. This is how it looks in the skein. This is the 3rd skein, and I have 2 balled up now. And I don't think based on how much I have left of the pattern and how much I have left in the ball, this is how much I have left on the ball, and I'm almost halfway in the pattern. So I don't think I'll get to this last skein, but this is how it looks in the skein. It is Medusa Yarns in her Calypso colorway. This is one of those things where I should have been paying attention to my notes, because I didn't mention it last time. I did add it in the description, because when I was editing it, I was like, I really didn't even say that. Here it is in my notes, and I didn't even say it. But Medusa Yarn had a 30% off sale for her yarn store. I think she's trying to get in some new colors and some new bases. So she had a 30% off sale in her yarn store, and I snagged a bunch of yarn from her, and this is one of those colorways. So if you're one person who pays attention and is down in the description box, even though I tell you not to be in the description box, you got lucky, because I did put the link in the description box. I just forgot to mention it and forgot to write it on the screen, and I am terribly sorry for that. So I am trying to do better and follow my notes. But this is Medusa Yarn, Calypso colorway, 7525 Superwash Merino nylon. And then, I don't know if you can see it here a little bit, but in real life it has these faint yellow speckles in the yarn, so that's why I chose to do this yellow base. And then I'm also, for the eyelet, it has eyelet sleeves and eyelet collar, So for those, I'm going to also do the Polworth yellow as well, just to bring it together. And then this is my stitch marker, and it makes me happy because it says, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. But that's this Shoreline Tee by Hannah of the Yarn Flakes. Medusa yarns. Let me make sure. That has a 6th of June due date, so it should be released a little bit sooner than this one, but they'll all be released around the same time. And Hannah, as well, when she releases her pattern, does do discount codes for a couple days as well. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly how much that is, but I think it's the 10 to 15% range as well. Don't quote me, but I think it's around that range. But I know she does do discounts for that. And my last whip, well, technically the last whip I can show you. I have another whip that is a secret test knit, but I'll show you the yarns that I'm using for it, and then let you know like what the name of the pattern is, but I can't like show you the pattern. But the last pattern whip I can show you is called the Emelda Shawl. It is an asymmetrical shawl by Audrey of the Yarn Flakes. So it has a striped stockinette pattern here, and then I'm about 20 stitches from the lace portion. So it alternates this striped stockinette with lace, then striped stockinette and lace, and you increase as you go. It has I-cord edging on both sides, so it has that kind of finished edge already, if that's what you want. For the two yarns, the purple is the Medusa yarns from her yarn sale that she had. That is the Persephone colorway, and this one is also, let me make sure, 75-25. Yes, 75-25. And the speckled yarn is Hue Loco in her Ruckus colorway. And then at the bottom, you can kind of see I was a little tight on the edge, but I realized what I was doing on my I-cord. And this one I didn't do after, so I can't use a couple needle size bigger on just the edge. Well, I guess you could, but I'm not about that life. So I just make sure I have a looser edge, but the bottom is probably the only part that's really going to give me trouble when I go to block it. But hopefully, since it is both are superwash, it should stretch out pretty well. It just won't be as stretchy as the other ones. So the purple color, the Persephone, is going to be the main color for my lace that I'm going to use in the body of the shawl. So my last test knit that I can't show you, but I can show you the yarns that I'm using for it, is the Hap Shawl by Anushka of the Crimson Stitchery. She did show the beginnings. I don't think it was the whole shawl, but she showed the beginnings of the shawl in her episodes. I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes ago that she showed the Hap Shawl, but that's what I'm test knitting with these. It is done with 1 strand of worsted or 2 strands of fingering. So these are the fingering yarns that I am using for the first section. I haven't wound up for the second section, and they're still in the little crinkly wrapper, so I'm not going to do that to you. But this is for the first section of that pattern that I'm using. I'm done with actually the first section, so this is what I have left over from the first section. I use 1 whole skein of that, and then these are 50-gram balls, so 2 whole skeins of this, and then I didn't even really dig into this one, so I might use it for some of the edging, depending on how much yarn the edging takes based on the pattern. But that's that one. That's the yarn I'm using for the Hap Shawl. Did I say Anushka? Yes, I said Anushka. And then I think that is it for all the nitty goodness part of it. If you don't want to see stash acquisitions or anything like that, I will see you later, hopefully. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. If you like what you see, feel free to leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. For all of you that are sticking with me, I have some yarns from that Medusa yarn sale. I have a yarn of the month from the Backyards Chicken Club. And then I have an Audible recommendation for you, a series that I just started. And I really like it. Hopefully you'll like it too. But I think it's really cool. So, for my stash acquisitions, don't judge. It was 30% off, so don't judge. These are all Medusa yarns that I'm about to show you, and then I'll get to the yarn of the month from Hue Loco. But this is her 80/20 base. This one is called Trident, and it is a stunning dark turquoisey blue. And she only had one of these, or else I would have got two, because I really like. It looked really well how she photographed it, and I really like how it came in person. But there was only one in the shop, so I only got one. But then I got this, her 75/25 fingering base. This one is called Dahlia. And I did manage to get two of these. A nice greeny gray with pops of, or speckles of pink. And then there is like some neon type greenies in here as well. So you can, that one, you can kind of see that neon-y green in there. And this is 75/25 on that base. And then this one is Calypso's Cake. It's blowing out a little bit. Still blowing out. But it is mainly, it's not quite white. It has a little tint of yellow. And then that same green that's in this one, the Calypso one, that's that same green that's in there. Oh, this helps a little bit. And then pops of brighter yellow. And then this one is 75/25 as well. And then the last one I got in her sale is called Artemis, and I'm really in love with this, and I'm kicking myself because I should have got a sweater's quantity of this one, because I think it would be really nice in a sweater. It would go with a lot of things that I have. But this one is Artemis 75/25, her fingering base. Really, really nice yarn. I love the way those colors go together. It's like a dark burgundy and then a foresty, forest green. And that's the Artemis colorway. And then the last acquisition I'm going to show you is the Backyards Chicken Club. If you haven't gotten, sorry, rookie move, my phone. If you haven't gotten your Backyards Chicken Club, then go ahead and look away for 10 seconds, and I'm going to show it really quick. Sorry for the crinkle. I haven't put it away yet. This is the Backyards Chicken Club from Hue Loco. This one is Princess Leia and Hen Solo. And I think it's a really cute name, and the colors go really well together. And then this one, I don't know if you can see, it has these nice bright blue speckles in it. And this one also has blue speckles in it, but it has more of the deeper blue tones that are kind of light in this one. So, that's the Backyard Chicken Club. You can face again if you haven't got your club yet. You can again look. But the last thing I wanted to talk about really quick is the Audible book series. And I didn't write it down, so give me 2 seconds, and I'm going to find that for you on my phone. So, I have it now. It is called Lady Sherlock series, and it has 4 books. I think the 5th book comes out later this year, but I'm on book 3 right now. The first book in the series is called, I wrote it, A Study in Scarlet Women. It is set in Victorian times in England, and basically The title is what it is. It's a female Sherlock Holmes and how she develops that persona and her struggles throughout it. It is really good because it's not just like a crime-solving story. It kind of brings in the struggles of Victorian women, high society. It's really entertaining. And if you're listening to it on Audible, I like the narrator as well. I think she does a great job. And I love her accent. So it was really entertaining for me. So I definitely recommend that series. Again, I'm on book 3. And I'm kind of pacing myself now because when I looked to see like about book 4, and then in Audible it shows you like the bottom part of it. What are they? Future recommendations. There we go. I couldn't get that word off, but it shows you like the future recommendations. You can see what is, when the next one is and what the next release date is. And the next one I think is like September. The 5th one is in September. So I'm definitely pacing myself on that book. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful couple weeks. And I will see you again soon, hopefully. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And I hope to see you again so you can chat with me. And then you'll see some of these finished objects for you, and I'll try to add in those project photos for you. But don't feel free to leave a comment down below. I love chatting with you guys. Thank you for all the people who do leave comments. I really enjoy your comments. They bring a smile to my face, and I try to respond as fast as possible. So I hope that it's fast enough for you and we can continue the conversation. So feel free to drop me a message, the DM on Instagram, a message on Ravelry, or just leave a comment down below. I really love them. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.